The Chicago Bears have seen their fair share of crushing moments over the years, and to say there's been a lot of them would be an understatement. From last-second heartbreaks to allow collapses, the team has a long history of falling short when it matters the most. If you've been following the Bears for any amount of time, you'll know exactly what I mean. The type of losses that make you question your fandom and your sanity at the same time. These are the moments that stick with you, the ones that keep you up at night wondering how in the world things went wrong. And let's face it, the Bears have provided us with a whole lot of those moments, especially in recent years. Now, if you're new to the show, welcome. I'm Harrison Graham, and I've been hosting this Bear-centric channel since January 2020. From post-game reactions to deep dives into the team's failures and successes, we've covered it all. And trust me, there's been more failure than success in the past few seasons. But hey, it's not all bad. We have some fun with it, even if it's mostly through the lens of frustration and disbelief. But today, we're going to do something special. We're going to relive some of the biggest crash-out moments in Chicago Bears history, at least the ones that have happened on this channel. If you've been following along, you probably remember some of these painful episodes. If you haven't, buckle up because we're diving into the depths of Bears misery, and it's a ride you won't soon forget. We'll start with number 12 on the list. It was Week 12 of the 2023 season, and the Bears were up against the Detroit Lions. The Chicago Bears had a 264 lead with just 415 left in the game. It was Justin Fields' first game back from injury, and the team looked like they were about to pull off a huge upset against their division rivals. Fields was running around, making plays, showing off the athleticism and arm strength that had many believing he could be the future of the franchise, but of course it all fell apart. In typical Bears fashion, the defense crumbled under pressure. Jared Goff, who had been fairly quiet throughout the game, suddenly found his rhythm and led a comeback that would make any Bears fan's blood run cold. Goff took the snap, stepped up in the pocket, and launched a deep pass for the end zone. The ball sailed through the air, and a witty open receiver caught it for a touchdown. Just like that, the Bears' lead was cut to 2,611, but that wasn't the worst part. The real heartbreak came when the Bears couldn't stop David Montgomery, who ran the ball in for another Lions touchdown. Just like that, it was 2,618, and the Bears were on the ropes, but it wasn't over yet. In a moment of sheer disaster, Fields dropped back to pass again, only to have Aidan Hutchinson strip sack him. Darnell Wright, who had been struggling all game, kicked the ball out of the end zone, resulting in a safety. The Bears, who were once in control, now found themselves in a losing position, all thanks to a complete collapse by both the offense and defense. The Lions went on to win the game, and the Bears were left with nothing but regret and disbelief. That moment has to be one of the worst crash-outs in recent memory. How do you blow a 264 lead with just a few minutes left? How does that happen? But somehow the Bears managed to do it, and it was an all-too-familiar feeling. It's moments like these that make you wonder if things will ever turn around for this cursed franchise. Now, moving on to number 11 on our list, we go back to the end of the Matt Nagy era. Ah yes, Matt Nagy, the man who had such high expectations and somehow managed to make the Bears' offense look worse with every passing season. By the time the Bears faced the Minnesota Vikings in Week 18 of the 2021 season, Nagy's fate was already sealed. The Bears were out of the playoff hunt, and it was clear that Nagy and GM Ryan Pace would soon be shown the door. But what made this game especially memorable, or should I say unforgettable, was the play that sealed Nagy's fate. It was a fourth and in situation, and the Bears were trailing late in the game. The logical play would have been to run the ball and pick up the short yardage needed for the first down, but instead Nagy called for a pass play, one that was poorly executed, to say the least. Justin Fields, under pressure, threw the ball off his back foot, and it was intercepted by the Vikings. The pick-six came shortly thereafter, and the Vikings sealed the deal with a touchdown. The Bears were done. It was a fitting end to Nagy's tenure in Chicago. A coach who couldn't manage a single fourth and incorrectly, who couldn't get his offense to perform, and who left the Bears faithful with nothing but disappointment. But here's the kicker, and this is the part that always gets me. Nagy was once defended by a lot of us. In the early days of his tenure, there were some who thought he could be the one to turn the franchise around. I was one of those people. I believed in Nagy's system. I believed that if he had the right quarterback, he could make something happen. And for a while it looked like he might. But as time went on, it became painfully clear that Nagy just wasn't the guy. And by the time that Week 18 game against the Vikings rolled around, it was obvious that he had lost control of the team. The pick-six that ended the game was just another reminder of how badly things had gone off the rails. And while I still think There's a world where Nagy could be a good head coach elsewhere. It's hard to ignore the fact that he was simply the wrong fit for Chicago. In the end, it was a fitting crash-out moment, one that sealed Nagy's fate and sent the Bears into yet another period of uncertainty. At number 10, we're going to take it back to the 2021 season. Remember the Cassius Marsh taunting penalty? What a mess that was. The Bears were playing the Pittsburgh Steelers in Week 9 of that season, and it was one of the more exciting games of the year. Justin Fields was showing flashes of brilliance, playing some of the best football of his rookie season, but of course, just when it seemed like the Bears were about to pull off a huge win, something went wrong. Because it's the Bears and things always go wrong. The Bears were down to 106 at the start of the fourth quarter, and it looked like another defeat was inevitable. But Fields turned it on, leading the offense to the quick touchdowns and giving the Bears a shot at pulling off the upset. Then came the moment that will live in infamy. Cassius Marsh, who had been called up from the practice squad, sacked Ben Roethlisberger and celebrated by staring down the Steelers' sideline. The referee, for reasons known only to him, threw a taunting penalty, costing the Bears 15 yards and extending the Steelers' drive. That was the turning point in the game, as the Steelers capitalized on the penalty and ended up winning 2,927. The taunting penalty was a killer, but what made it even worse was the fact that Marsh wasn't taunting anyone. He was simply celebrating his big play. And when the replay showed the official bumping into Marsh before the flag was thrown, it was clear that the call was a mistake. These moments, these heartbreaks, they define the Chicago Bears. They've been a part of this team for so long, it's almost impossible to imagine a future where things go smoothly. But we keep watching, keep hoping, even when it feels like the team is destined to let us down. So yeah, it's been mostly bad, but we keep going. That's what being a Bears fan is all about. And who knows, maybe someday, just maybe, the Bears will give us something to celebrate. Until then, we'll keep reliving the pain one crash out at a time. After looking at some of the worst moments in Bears history, let's take it up a notch and relive even more of the heartbreaking, soul-crushing plays that have defined the Chicago Bears era of misfortune. I'll be honest, as much as we can laugh and joke about these moments, they still hurt. That's what being a Bears fan is all about. The agony, the hope, and the constant cycle of disappointment. But hey, at least we've got a community to share the pain with. Let's get into part 2 of the biggest crash-out moments of the Chicago Bears' recent history. Starting with number 6, we have to go back to one of the more frustrating games in the 2020 season. It was the game against the Green Bay Packers in Week 2, a matchup that fans had been looking for. Word to all off-season, the hype surrounding Justin Fields was at an all-time high after his off-season improvements, and the Bears had started the season with a solid win over the 49ers in Week 1. The stage was set for Fields to finally show the Packers what he was capable of, but what we got was something completely different. The Packers absolutely demolished the Bears in a game that was over almost as soon as it started. Fields had no time to throw. The offensive line couldn't hold up against Green Bay's pass rush, and the defense was completely outmatched. But it wasn't just the defeat that was so crushing, it was how quickly everything fell apart. There were moments where you could see Fields trying to make plays, but he had little help. His receivers were dropping passes, and there was zero rhythm to the offense. It was like watching a car crash in slow motion. You could see it coming, but there was nothing anyone could do to stop it. The Bears' offense barely crossed midfield in the first half, and by the time the game was over, they had been thoroughly beaten by the Packers in a humiliating 2,710 loss. It was a game that crushed any hope of a potential breakout season and was a harsh reminder that the Bears still had a long way to go before becoming a competitive team. Then in Week 4 of 2020, we saw the fallout from the abysmal offensive performance in Green Bay. The Bears faced the New York Giants, and it was another game that saw Fields' potential completely stifled by a lackluster offensive scheme and poor execution from his teammates. It wasn't just the offense that was bad, though. The defense had its own issues, especially in terms of consistency. While the Bears kept the game close early, they couldn't stop the Giants when it mattered most. The worst moment came late in the game when the Bears had a chance to tie the game, but failed to capitalize on several crucial opportunities. The game ended with a final score of 20-12, another painful loss. That added fuel to the fire of criticism surrounding both Fields and head coach Matt Eberflus. What made this loss even more frustrating was the fact that Fields had made some impressive plays in the first half, including some fantastic runs and a few strong throws. But once again, the Bears' inability to execute in key moments and finish drives cost them. In the final minutes with the Bears driving to potentially tie the game, Fields threw an interception that sealed the loss. Watching Fields walk off the field after the game was heartbreaking, as you could see the frustration on his face. He knew he wasn't getting the support he needed from his coaching staff or his teammates, and once again Bears fans were left wondering when this team would ever get it together. At number 5, we have one of the most infamous moments of the entire Matt Nagy era. The Week 7 game in 2021 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It was another primetime disaster for the Bears, who found themselves up against the defending Super Bowl champions. Despite coming into the game with a 33 record, the Bears were big underdogs, and many expected the Buccaneers to win easily. But what happened in this game would go down as one of the most frustrating, embarrassing sequences of play calling in recent memory. The Bears had a first-and-goal situation, and instead of running the ball with David Montgomery, a player who had been performing well up until that point, Nagy and offensive coordinator Bill Lazor decided to get cute. They called for a trick play. Instead of handing the ball off, the Bears attempted a reverse, which failed miserably. Then the Bears tried to throw a quick pass, only for the pass to fall incomplete. On the next play, they tried another trick play, a fake toss that went nowhere. It was clear that Nagy was more interested in showing off some gimmicky plays than actually trying to win the game. To make matters worse, the Bears' defense couldn't stop Tom Brady when it mattered most, and the Buccaneers went on to win 383. It was a humiliating defeat, and one that left Bears fans questioning Nagy's ability to get his team prepared for big games. As the loss was sealed and the final whistle blew, it became apparent that this was more than just a bad game. It was a sign of the dysfunction within the organization. Now let's talk about the disaster that was the 2020 season's Week 9 game against the Tennessee Titans. The Bears came into this game at 53, and with the NFC North still up for grabs, it felt like this was a pivotal game for the Bears to prove that they were legitimate contenders. But instead of taking a step forward, the Bears took a massive step backward. It wasn't just that they lost the game, it was how they lost. The offense was completely non-existent, failing to score a single touchdown throughout the entire game. The Titans, led by Derrick Henry, ran all over the Bears, with Henry finishing the game with 68 yards and 2 touchdowns. The final score was a blowout, with the Titans winning 2,417, but it wasn't even the loss itself that hurt the most. What made this game so painful was the fact that the Bears had a chance to prove that they could play with the big dogs, but instead they showed just how far they still had to go. The offense was uncreative, the defense was out of sync, and the coaching staff seemed completely lost. It was a wake-up call for Bears fans that this team, despite a hot start, was nowhere near ready to go and beat at the highest level. And while they'd go on to make the playoffs, this game marked the beginning of the downward spiral that would eventually cost Matt Nagy his job. Finally, at number 4, we have the infamous double doink game. If you've been a Bears fan for any amount of time, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's a moment that will haunt Bears fans for the rest of their lives. The 2018 NFC wildcard game against the Philadelphia Eagles. The Bears had a chance to advance to the next round of the playoffs, but their hopes were dashed in the most heartbreaking way possible. With the game tied at 15 and just seconds left on the clock, Bears kicker Cody Parkey lined up for a 3-yard field goal attempt to win the game. The crowd held its breath as the ball sailed through the air, and then disaster struck. The ball hit the left upright, bounced off the crossbar, and fell to the ground. It was the double doink, and it sent the Bears home for the season in the most agonizing way imaginable. As Parkey's teammates tried to console him, there was nothing that could take away the sting of that moment. It was a brutal reminder of how close the Bears came to achieving greatness, only to have it ripped away at the last possible second. These are the moments that define the Chicago Bears. The heartbreak, the near misses, the blown opportunities. But despite it all, we keep coming back. Why? Because we're Bears fans. We endure the pain, we keep hoping for better days, and we never stop believing that one day, just maybe, things will finally turn around. It's what makes us who we are. And as tough as it is, we wouldn't have it any other way. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy, drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers are starting to swirl around the Windy City, and if they're true, Chicago Bears fans might want to brace themselves for what could be a game-changing addition to their backfield. Sources close to the draft process are hinting that Boise State star running back ASHTON JEANTY is all but locked in with the Bears ahead of the upcoming NFL draft, a move that could give Chicago the kind of backfield combination most teams can only dream about. While nothing has been made official, insiders suggest that talks between JEANTY's camp and the Bears have intensified in recent days, and the vibe is that the deal is as good as done. The Bears, who have been quietly retooling their offense, appear ready to make a bold statement by bringing in one of college football's most electrifying talents. JEANTY, known for his explosive burst, low center of gravity, and uncanny ability to find holes that aren't even there, could be the final piece in a puzzle that's been slowly coming together. Under head coach Matt Eberflus, pairing JEANTY with an already solid group of offensive weapons could instantly transform the Bears' attack into one of the most dynamic in the league. While analysts have been focused on more high-profile running backs leading into the draft, JEANTY's stock has been rising steadily, and for good reason. His sophomore season at Boise State was nothing short of spectacular, and scouts have noted that his versatility as both a runner and a pass catcher fits perfectly with the modern NFL playbook. Could this be the dawn of a new era in Chicago? Is the Bears front office about to pull off one of the smartest draft moves of the year? Nothing's set in stone yet, but if the growing buzz around JEANTY's alleged agreement proves true, the Bears might just be on the verge of assembling a dream backfield that could wreak havoc in the NFC North for years to come. Stay tuned. The draft is coming, and with it the potential for a seismic shift in Chicago's offensive fortunes. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.